Hello Summoners and welcome back to another Pro Guides video. My name is Christoph and today I'll be going over 10 in-game setting adjustments that you can make to instantly improve at League of Legends. All of the things we mentioned here can be applied right now, so don't hesitate to jump into Practice Tool and try out all these new settings that we recommend. Like always, feel free to request more guide ideas in the comments below. We are always willing to help you guys out, and this video is just another one of those requests that you guys gave us. But before we get started, if you guys want to see more content like this, then check out ProGuides.com, where we have a ton of educational content, including a bunch of courses with pros and access to challenger coaches who can help take your gameplay to the next level. With all that being said, let's jump right into the video. Starting with tip number 10. Turn on your attack move. I cannot stress this enough, but so many players are ranked significantly lower than their actual skill level due to them not using attack move. I personally know an AD carry main who was stuck in low gold but climbed to Diamond 4 within weeks after he started using this setting. Now, what is attack move? Well, basically, it's when your champion moves to a targeted location and hits the nearest enemy within range. The vast majority of pro players use attack move because it actually gives them a huge advantage on their opponents and helps them kite very smoothly. Here are a few examples for when attack moving is necessary. Firstly, if you're checking a bush with an enemy inside it, then you can attack move into the bush to instantly hit the target as soon as you gain vision. Secondly, when you want to start kiting like Uzi's Vayne or Doublelift's Kai'Sa, then you need this setting turned on. Once you start kiting backwards, the game will automatically hit the enemy for you, so you can focus primarily on your backwards movements. Now, why is this important, you ask? Well, I'm sure most of you who do not use this setting have been in a scenario where you're kiting the enemy and you misclick beside them. This would mean that your champion would then start walking towards the enemy and kinda makes it look like you're running it down mid. Turning on attack move will completely get rid of this problem and you'll never have to deal with it again. Alright, so we want you to turn it on. How do you turn it on? First, go into the practice tool, pick a ranged champion, and then click your settings once you get into game. Once you do that, scroll down on the hotkeys tab and expand on the player movement option. There, you'll see three options: player attack move click, player attack only click, and player attack move. From here, you'll need to mess around and see which option fits best for you. Everyone has different opinions about which of these settings is best, but for me personally, I like the attack move setting on my A button because it allows me a range indicator for how long my auto attacks are. Okay, on to tip number 9. Start using your F keys. So what do the F keys do? Well, try going into a practice game, fill it with allied bots, and scroll through your F1, F2, F3, F4, and F5. You'll notice that F keys function similarly to your space button, which locks your camera into your champion. However, in this case, the F keys lock your camera onto your allied champions instead. Okay, so why is this important? Well, if you're playing a role like jungle or support where macro and roaming is super important, then you're going to want to use these F keys to scout the state of each lane. By using these keys, you'll save yourself a ton of time because you won't have to manually drag your camera through the minimap, costing you precious seconds in the process. Now, unlike the attack move command, these keys, in my opinion, are not absolutely necessary, but they'll definitely help you become much more aware of the other lanes. However, a lot of players avoid using the F keys because it feels kind of awkward to reach for them while your fingers are over QWER. One trick that I do like to avoid this is to bind them to my Z, X, C, and V instead. You can do this by going into your in-game settings and then click the camera control tab. Alright, at number 8, we have turn on the area's warded ping. Now, this one is pretty self-explanatory, but you'll be surprised at how many players don't even know that this ping exists. I don't blame them either because the default settings that you're given at level 1 do not have this ping binded to any keys at all. Also, this is a relatively new feature, so you'll have to mess around with it in Practice Tool and see which button best suits you. Alright, so now why is this important? Well, the alternative to using this ping is to normal ping in an area and then press your enter key and type warded. Although this alternative does the job, it takes a lot longer to do and is way less convenient. Having one simple button to warn your teammates about wards is the most optimal way to prevent them from wasting their time trying to gank your lane. If you want to set a hotkey for this, then go into Settings, Communication, and then scroll down to the Area is Warded ping. Hopefully it'll help you guys out. Alright, and at number 7, we have Turn on Target Champions Only. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where the enemy champion is super low and is basing under their turret. At this point, you decide to lock in your yellow card and then flash auto queue them to finish them off. However, hover. What really happens is that you end up misclicking after your flash and yellow carding the enemy tower. Not only is this super embarrassing, but you've also just wasted your flash and given them a free kill. However, do not worry. This specific setting will prevent this scenario from ever happening ever again. Go into your settings, go to abilities and spells, and scroll down until you see target champions only. Bind that to a key and try it out in a practice tool game. Trust me, you will thank me. And you can thank me by clicking like on this video. What this setting does is it prevents you from hitting minions or towers or monsters with your abilities and auto attacks. On top of that, you can even turn this into a toggle by going into the settings, then the game tab, then scrolling down to the treat target champions only as a toggle button. Once you turn that on, all your abilities will only hit champions until you toggle it off. This is useful for when you're playing champions like Pantheon, who want to flash W onto their targets, or Twisted Fate when you're wild carding an opponent. Alright, and coming in at number 6, we have turn off your quick cast on your trinket wards or support vision items. Alright, now don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with quick casting your trinkets or wards. In fact, I myself quick cast my trinkets when I'm playing Lee Sin for those smooth ward hops. However, if you're relatively new to support or playing at a level between unranked to low diamond, then you should try turning off quick cast on your wards. The reason for this is because the range indicator is much more clear when you are not smart casting this button. You get to actually see the full vision range of whatever trinket you're about to place, and you can utilize this information to optimize your ward placements. However, there are some downsides to this. One example would be when the enemy enters the bush and you try to ward it to get vision. Not smart casting this ability would mean that there's a 0.5-second delay for vision of that bush, which can actually impact the upcoming fight. So our advice is to play a bunch of normal games with normal cast on, and then turn it off when you're ready to jump into ranked. Alright, next at number 5, we have make your minimap bigger. Before we explain anything, I want you to go into Practice Tool right now. Click Settings, then Interface, and then slide the minimap scale to the far right to make it as big as possible. Once you're done with that, I want you to try playing one normal game with the minimap at 100%. What you'll notice is that your map awareness will improve significantly with this one simple setting. Having the minimap as big as possible will help you spot enemies easier with your peripheral vision and make you seem like Dopa in your solo queue games. Everything becomes so much easier to see, whether it's enemy wards, junglers, MIA laners, or even just spawn timers for neutral objectives. The only downside to this is that sometimes you'll end up misclicking onto the minimap when you're using an ability or moving because it covers so much of your screen. But there's a way to prevent this. You can do that by disabling minimap movement. Just go into your settings and turn off minimap movement if you find this to be a recurring problem for you. Alright, and at number 4, we have show mana costs for all your ability icons. One of the easiest and most important settings that you must turn on is your mana cost for your abilities. By doing so, a small number will appear at the top right of each ability icon, which displays the mana cost for your skills. This is extremely important for calculating how much mana you need to do a combo when you're almost out of mana. For example, if you're playing as Lux, then you'll need exactly 50 mana for your Q, 110 mana for your E, and then 100 mana for your ult, totaling 260 mana. Instead of hovering your mouse over each ability and adding it up, you can instead just look at the ability icons and save yourself a ton of time. You have to try this out and let us know how that goes down below. Alright, and at tip number 3, we have hide the emote display bar. Not too long ago, Riot introduced a new feature which displays all the emotes used by your teammates on the left-hand side of your screen. Although this is a cool new feature, it actually doesn't help you win games at all. In fact, having this setting turned on does the exact opposite. Having these emotes constantly pop up on the left side can distract you and can cover specific parts of your screen as well. On top of that, some of the sounds that the emotes make are extremely misleading. You might hear someone use an emote and be fooled into thinking that your enemy laner is about to use an ability. Our recommendation is that you turn this off completely to reduce the amount of distractions during your game. You can do this by going into your settings, then interface, then click the drop menu on the emote bubble display and change it to off. If you want to keep it but without the sound, then you can change it there as well. Alright, and at tip number 2, we have optimize your in-game graphics. For those of you out there with a really good computer, you can completely ignore this part and just skip over to tip number 1. But for those of you who have an average or subpar computer, then this part will help you rank up the most. Go into your settings and mess around with every graphic until you optimize your frame rates. There's nothing more frustrating in the world than playing with FPS lag, and we're here to teach you how to eliminate that. Firstly, you want to turn off eye candy. This can be found in the video section, and basically all it does is eliminate the small little glitters and sparks that are found on the map. Having this turned on will only reduce your frame rates and does not help your gameplay whatsoever. Next, you want to turn shadows off completely. This will make a drastic difference in your FPS stability and again, does not affect your gameplay at all. And no, this won't magically disable Zed's W or Ultimate. And also, it won't get rid of Fog of War. Nice try. Once you're done with that, you want to mess around with the character quality, environment quality, and effects quality until you've reached a setting that you're happy with. Lastly, you want to mess around with the character inking, vertical sync, and anti-aliasing. These settings can and will affect your FPS, but you need to choose which ones you want to keep. Our last and final tip for instant improvement is mute all of your teammates. Just kidding, it's turn on colorblind mode. If you watch a lot of pro player streams, then you might have noticed that some of their HP bars are yellow rather than green. This is because they use a setting called colorblind mode, which was originally meant for people who have trouble seeing specific colors or who can't see colors at all. Now, by turning this on, the abilities will look much more distinguishable and they'll actually be easier to see. For example, let's take a look at Singe's Poison Trail with and without colorblind mode turned on. Without colorblind mode, it's this dark green color that kind of blends in with the ground, making it almost impossible to tell whether you're inside the smoke or not. On the flip side, if you have colorblind mode on, it'll be this bright blue color which clearly shows you the range on this ability. However, do keep in mind that colorblind mode is all down to personal preference. Some people prefer to see the nice bright variants with the blue colors, and some people don't, so it's your job to find out. And also, if you do want to mute all your teammates, you can do that sometimes too. That's it for our 10 setting changes that you can do for instant improvement in League of Legends. Let us know how these setting changes worked out for you in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed watching this, then make sure to click that sub button. Also, make sure to check out ProGuides.com using the description link below if you want to see huge improvements to your rank. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.